Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to be sharing my top favorite software engineering YouTube channels that have had the biggest impact in my career so far. And these are in no particular order, but yeah, let's get right into it. So the first one is Hussein Nasser. Now, this guy is a genius. Well, actually this channel is a little bit more advanced. This is not so much for beginners per se, but this is mostly about backend, operating systems, infrastructure, like getting a really deep understanding of how things work on the inside. So this is not just like basic coding tutorials like, oh, how to code in Python or how to build a to-do list application. This goes like way deeper into like how everything works from the inside, like really having a deep understanding of the backend, the infrastructure, how the computer works, databases, etc. So I really recommend this channel, especially if you're a more advanced software engineer, you've been working for a couple of years, or even if you're just a beginner. I mean, it's always good to like really start getting a deeper understanding of how everything works, because I really believe that that's one of the things that's gonna really make you a great software engineer, something that's really gonna like take you to the next level. It's really getting that deeper understanding of how everything works behind the scenes. So you're not just using an interface, you're not just like guessing how things work. You actually have a deep understanding and you can make correct decisions in certain situations. And you can also debug things. So when something is not working, if you understand deeply how the system works from the inside out, you can have a good idea of why it could be or how you could debug that issue. You can find the solution. But if you don't understand how the system works, you only understand how to use the interface and kind of like the basic functionalities. Yeah, you might be able to build something simple with it, but as soon as you hit a roadblock, as soon as you have an issue, a difficult bug to solve, you're not gonna know what to do because you don't understand how the thing works actually on the inside. So I really recommend this channel to get you to the next level, especially if you're like an intermediate software engineer. This is really gonna give you a much better understanding of the fundamentals. And I really recommend his courses as well. I've done the backend course and I'm currently doing the databases course as well. And I also got the operating systems course. And I can tell you that in my own job, it has helped me a lot. You know, especially when I started working with backend and Docker and stuff like that. Really like his courses gave me a much deeper understanding of how everything works. So I really recommend this channel. Now, second on the list is Codingphase.com. We gotta pay homage to the OG right here. This is like one of the first guys that I really started learning from back when I was in college. So around like my second year of college, let's say, you know, I decided to start like doing some extra things outside of just studying for my classes or my exams. I decided to start taking courses on my own time, you know, outside of school. And I decided to start taking his web development courses. So for him, I really learned everything from React, Laravel, PHP, everything. This was the first time that I really built a full stack web application. It was with Codingphase.com. So I really recommend this guy a lot. It was one of the guys who got me started like really in the world of web development, full stack web development, you know, front end, back end, React, everything, you know. So really recommend this channel. Also, this channel is really good if you don't have like a computer science background, because he talks a lot about how to get into the industry if you didn't go to college for software engineering or computer science. If you come from a different kind of background, how you can like start getting your first job with something like HTML and then, you know, kind of like get into the industry from a non-traditional computer science background. But anyways, the thing that I really liked about his courses is that we were just building projects from scratch, you know, step by step. And I would just basically follow along with him and like build the whole project from start to finish, basically learning how he did things. And he's obviously a senior software engineer with a lot of experience. So going through the courses and building the projects beside him, like that thing really took me to the next level, man. So when I was in college and like most of my peers, they only knew the things that we learned in class, basically, you know, the basic programming and everything like that. I was already almost I know it sounds a little bit arrogant to say, but I was almost at like the next level already, almost like a professional level, because I was already building full stack web development applications. That is basically what you do when you get a real job, right? So this thing really helped me. I really recommend his courses. So anyways, let's move on to the next one. Now, Frederick Christensen. This channel is super underrated. And the reason it's so underrated is because, as you can see, he doesn't have any thumbnails. He doesn't have any flashy thumbnails. His videos are super low key. So if you saw this video, you wouldn't even know it's like a software engineering or like a programming video. So he doesn't really get that many views, but these videos are really high quality. He talks about his own experience. This guy is a very high level, obviously like senior software engineer. I don't know if he's like a principal software engineer or something. This guy has a lot of experience. Dude is really smart. And he makes some videos that are very valuable if you want to work in this field professionally. So he does like general videos giving advice about, how to get to the next level in your job, how to deal with coworkers, how to deal with tech leads, managers, etc. And also like what are the actual technical skills that you really need and how you can differentiate yourself to get to the next level. Like just general videos about career advice for software engineers. So I would really recommend this channel for sure. And this is one of those channels that you're probably not going to find out in the open because, like I said, like the thumbnails are like super random. You're never going to know that this is a programming channel. So just go to this guy's channel, subscribe, and you're going to be getting his new videos every day. So the next one is Web Dev Cody. This one's kind of similar to the last one as well. He just does like general YouTube videos about software engineering, especially about his experience working a job. I think this guy has been working for a lot of years as a professional software engineer, so he has a lot of experiences. He talks about how software engineering is done at a professional level, in real companies. He talks about the development process, how things are structured, just kind of like general software engineering stuff, but not so much like beginner tutorials. This is more senior level, kind of like senior level content. More if you're like an intermediate, you already have a job, this could be extremely useful. Or even if you're just a beginner, you can start like learning about these concepts and getting a better understanding of this type of things. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this channel as well. Now, the next channel is Alive Engineer. Now, this guy, he's a software engineer. I think he's a principal software engineer that worked at Amazon for almost 18 years. Well, here it says, so basically 17 years working at Amazon. He talks more about kind of like how to get promotions, how to grow in your career as a software engineer. I guess especially in big tech, because that's what his experience is, working at Amazon. So he talks about how to get to senior software engineer, principal, staff, principal engineer, whatever, kind of like how to get to the next level in your career. Now, I think this channel is probably more relevant to you if you work at a big tech or if you work at a FANG company. Maybe if you work at smaller companies and stuff like that. You can still take this advice. You can still take this knowledge and apply it to your own job. But you gotta understand that the way that things work in big tech is different from the way that things work in a smaller company. So when he talks about like promotion cycles and, L3, L4, like all these different levels, if you work at a smaller company, it's probably not gonna be so structured, like, there's the promotion cycle and all these type of things. So you gotta take it a little bit with a grain of salt, but in general, like, he gives some really good advice about how to like stand out and get to the next level in your career. And you can probably still apply that same knowledge even if you work at a smaller company. Again, this next channel is a little bit the same. It's not quite the same. He actually does podcasts, interviews with software engineers. Mostly like high-level software engineers from big tech companies, fun companies, Facebook, Google, Netflix, Amazon. So this is actually the guy from the last channel. He did an interview here. This guy worked at Meta, Facebook, whatever, Amazon. This guy's kind of like a VP. He's not a software engineer, but he basically, I'm talking about the guy in this video particularly, but the guy who owns the YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's also a software engineer. He was a staff software engineer at Instagram. So, like I said, these are interviews with software engineers from big tech companies. And there's certainly a lot of things that you can learn from this. There's like long form, hour-long interviews. So you can just listen to them on your commute or whatever. It's pretty good stuff. Now, the next one is Theo from T3.gg. Difficult to pronounce. Anyway, so this guy, he does more like general content about like the state of the tech industry. So as you can see, he's talking about AI. Well, basically this guy, he worked at Twitch for a long time. He's a very like experienced software engineer, and now he also runs his own startup where he builds software products. He has like a ChatGPT competitor, and he makes really good YouTube videos just about like the general state of software engineering, the general state of the tech industry, and also specifically web development. He makes a lot of videos about React, kind of like front-end web development stuff, kind of a little bit of everything, especially geared towards web development in particular. So yeah, you can see a lot of React, stuff like that. So yeah, I recommend this channel for sure. You can learn a lot from this guy. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Now this channel, ByteMonk, is basically mostly like explainer videos. So he explains like in a lot of detail concepts in software engineering, like how SSH works, keys encryption and real world examples, quicksort, Spring Boot, design patterns. So like I said, these are like explainer videos that are relatively short, but packed with a lot of information. So these videos are really good. You can definitely learn a lot from this. I would recommend you watch some of these videos. He talks a lot about like infrastructure, backend stuff, how systems work. Yeah, just in general, highly recommend. Now the next one is the ThePrimeagen. This guy's obviously very famous nowadays in the tech community. And again, it's kind of similar to Theo. He just makes like general YouTube videos about the state of software engineering and tech. You can definitely learn a lot from him. I mean, this guy worked at Netflix for a long time. This guy has a lot of experience. He's not just like some new guy who just popped up out of nowhere and just started making YouTube videos. No, he's been working for a long time in the industry. He has a lot of experience working at Netflix, which is a big company. So I would definitely listen to him. And yeah, he's actually quite entertaining and pretty funny. So I guess that's part of the reason why he's become so popular these days. He's almost kind of like a streamer, but also with educational software engineering content. So it's kind of like funny and entertaining, but then also you're learning stuff that could benefit your career. So highly recommend for sure. And this next one, this channel, I think this channel is kind of like new. Well, he started posting like 2 years ago every once in a while. He doesn't have that many videos, but I think his videos are really interesting because he reads like postmortems, which are basically like documents that explain bad things that happened at tech companies, like in real world situations. Like for example, how Slack destroyed itself in over 8 hours, or I don't know, how GitHub's database self-destructed in 43 seconds. So it's kind of like real life situations that happened in real big tech companies. So you can definitely learn a lot from this, especially if you're like a infrastructure or backend engineer and you're dealing with like a lot of concurrent users or big systems. These are really interesting real life situations. This is not like basic beginner tutorials. This is like real large scale software, big companies, real situations that happen in real life. So you can definitely learn a lot from this. And these videos are pretty well edited, pretty entertaining. So yeah, the next one is The Pragmatic Engineer. So this guy, again, he does like various interviews with, well, here we have this guy again, Steve Huing. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but shout out to him. Anyway, so this guy does basically interviews with, I would say high-level software engineers from, some of them from big companies, most of them probably, some of them from not so big companies, but just like very experienced software engineers, and you can definitely learn a lot from these people. And they just talk about general situations at the workplace, kind of like how they solve problems, how they structure teams, how they build certain infrastructure, or just general advice for software engineers, more like a senior or like more advanced level. It's not like beginner stuff, So that's what I like about this channel as well. Now, Argent Codes. This channel is a bit more specific towards Python. Now, in my job specifically, I started first with front end, working with React, but then at some point, I got also assigned to the backend to basically a fast API application, a fast API application that we were building, and I definitely learned a lot from this guy, like really getting a much deeper understanding of fast API, but then also Python, how Python works, because I had never really worked with Python that much really before that. So this channel was definitely instrumental in me learning Python and getting a deeper understanding of it. So yeah, for sure, if you're a Python developer, check this guy out. Now, Byte. Again, this is also like explainer videos, and he talks mostly about, kind of like infrastructure, system design, backend things, He just kind of like explaining big concepts. You can definitely learn a lot from this. I recommend watching these videos. I guess it's quite similar to ByteMonk. It's kind of like the same style of explainer videos, explaining certain concepts. So quite similar. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, Cost and Solutions. This is another YouTube channel that helped me out a lot when I was beginning my job, because I was working with React, and this channel I think he only talks about React specifically. So if you're a React developer, check him out. He has some really good React tutorials. And it's not just like beginner stuff. He talks about some more advanced concepts, some kind of like more intermediate, just general advice for professional React developers. So check him out. And lastly, we have Kiki Bytes. Again, I guess this is quite similar to Byte and ByteMonk. It's quite interesting that they all have Byte in their name. I don't know why that is. I guess it's a coincidence, but I should group them all in the same category because they're quite similar actually. But well, this one is actually, I would say, more similar to, well, this one's not so much about like postmortems or like bad situations that happen. This just explains how big tech companies have built their infrastructure and like how they've solved certain problems. So here you can see how Notion scaled to 100 million users without their database exploding, So you can definitely learn a lot about this video. You can definitely learn a lot from these videos about backend infrastructure, like how to scale applications to a large number of users. Now, that's something that personally I haven't done. I've never worked on like a large scale application with millions of users, but it's definitely always good to understand these concepts and just get a deeper understanding of how big tech companies do things, because you can derive a lot of lessons from that you can then apply to smaller applications if you work at a smaller company, whatever. But yeah, it's always good to have the knowledge and understand how things are done in the real world, not just kind of like theory from beginner tutorials. So I guess that's the lesson there. So yeah, those are all the channels that I have. Those are basically all the channels that I'm subscribed to on YouTube about software engineering. I'm sure there's hundreds of other YouTube channels that are great. These are just the ones that I'm subscribed to personally. So I just wanted to share this list. Hopefully you discovered a couple of channels that might interest you. So yeah, I definitely think, just as like a last thought here, I definitely think that one of the keys to success as a software engineer is constantly learning, being a learning machine, constantly reading, learning, watching YouTube videos, watching courses, etc. If you're just constantly learning, constantly getting your skills to the next level, that's how you really stand out in this game. And that's how you really, get to the next level. Because truth is, most people, they just go to their job, they learn on the job, just kind of like the basic thing that they need to do. And as long as they know enough to do their job, that's good enough with them. If you want to get to the next level, you want to stand out, you got to put in the work on your own time outside of your job. learning, watching channels like this, maybe also reading books, reading documentation. I really recommend, actually, I should add this to the list, even though it's not a YouTube channel, but with whatever technology that you're working with. So for example, for me, it's React, right? I work a lot with React. Read the React documentation. Documentation these days is so good. Literally just go in here. This is like a course, almost like a book, for free, because it's people, React wants you to use their tool. So they put this very good information out for free so you can consume it. You should be reading all these things, like from start to finish. For example, the Fast API documentation. When I first started working as a backend developer as well at my job, one of the things that I did, I literally read the entire Fast API user guide. I mean, I didn't read the whole, there's probably a reference part. I didn't read the whole reference, but I read the whole user guide. So all these pages right here, this is pretty much like a book, like a course. You can just go one by one, read the whole thing. It took me a couple months, in my free time or whatever. But it really took my skills to the next level, for real. I learned a lot of things here. So I read the whole kind of tutorial, the basic tutorial, and then the advanced user guide. There were things there that I didn't use. They were more advanced, but I got, like I said, I keep repeating this, but it's true. I got a much deeper understanding of the fundamentals. I got a much deeper understanding of how things work behind the scenes when you read the documentation. And this really kind of took my back-end skills to the next level. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, that's basically what I recommend. So yeah, anyways, guys, this video is quite long already. I think I've been talking for 22 minutes straight. Hopefully the audio is good. Hopefully you guys learned something. So yeah, subscribe to the channel and see you on the next videos.